right, we're going to begin. Okay, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Meditation and Spiritual Practice. Great to see everybody this morning. And as some of us are aware, we're at a very high point in our Torah narrative, and that this is Parshat Yitro this week, which is the people of Israel arriving at Mount Sinai and receiving the Torah. And really this experience of revelation has obviously been the subject of commentary from the sages in our tradition for a long time, not just about the individual revelation of the Torah itself, but what was it that actually happened? You know, what went down at that mountain as going forward. And in fact, one of the things that is really interesting is that the Israelites make this comment, which is they say, Na'aseh v'nishma, we will do and then we will hear, even before they experience the revelation. And the Talmud says, in the hour when Israel said, we shall do before we shall hear, a heavenly voice came forth and called out, who revealed this secret to my children? The expression used by the ministering angels. So this statement of we will do and then we will hear is in somehow connected to a very, very deep secret, maybe even responsible for the revelation itself. You know, on one level, people can understand the statement to say it was just a real statement of total obedience, you know, to God. Like whatever you say, God, I'm gonna do it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what it is. You know, I'm dedicated to you, and that kind of posture of devotion and obedience is what it's about. But as you can imagine, our mystical tradition looks at it a little bit differently. And I want to share with you some Hasidic teachings around this experience. One just is around the very nature of the revelation, right? That we know that the people of Israel received the Torah. There are some sages that say they didn't actually Moses didn't actually receive the entire Torah. He just received the Ten Commandments, just the Ten Commandments. And everything else kind of flowed. The whole Torah, all the laws, everything else flowed from those Ten Commandments. Then there's another voice in the tradition that says it wasn't the Ten Commandments that they received. It was actually just the first commandment. I am Adonai, your God, who brought you out of Egypt. And, you know, part of it is like, we can say, well, how is that a commandment? But those of us who know the text of the Torah know that the word for commandment is a mitzvah, but the Torah doesn't refer to these 10 mitzvot. They refer to it aseret hadibrot, 10 utterances, 10 expressions, right? 10 expressions. And so then if it's just expressions, then we can say, oh, this expression of presence, I am God, your God who took you out of Egypt, that can work, as that's what the revelation is. And then there is another Hasidic teaching that says, no, it wasn't the whole first commandment. It was just the word Anochi, I. It was just pure presence, just I that was suddenly unfolded. And then Menachem Mendel Witzk, I don't know if I can pronounce it correctly, but he says, no, it wasn't even just Anochi that was revealed. It was just the Aleph. It was just the Aleph. It was the first letter of the first word. And what do we know about the Aleph? Well, it's silent, right? So the revelation was this very deep presence that had no form, nothing that the mind could wrap around, just open empty but full presence. So that's kind of sets the stage a little bit for this particular perspective on revelation, whether you want to receive it at any one of those levels that we're talking about. The other thing, though, that I wanted to make sure to share was Rabbi Menachem Nachum of Chernobyl. This is the Me'orei Naim. We've learned from him plenty in the past here. And he says something amazing. He talks about that when we are in sensing the presence of God in our lives, when we have that revelation, whatever that is, and it can be in the most mundane moments, right? I want to make sure that this presence of God doesn't have to be about thunder and lightning and but it can be about a conversation that we're having where we're feeling moved by the sharing of a loved one. It can be about being in a beautiful natural environment, walking in nature. It can be about an incredible witnessing of courage and bravery and clarity. So much so many different forms can this presence of God reveal itself. But one of the things that characterizes the experience is that the Chernobyler says is we have a surge of energy. There's a surge of energy that happens usually when we experience this revelation, this opening. And after that surge of energy, whether it's directly after or it's a couple days after or whatever, he says that a person cannot stand on a single rung indefinitely, right? He has this kind of metaphor of life as almost like being a ladder that we are climbing this ladder, which is like growing in awareness, in connection to God, all of that. And says a person cannot stay on one rung constantly. The life force flows and ebbs. He says it's likely when you are attached to Yud He Vav He and you feel the pleasure of a surge of energy, but afterwards that disappears and you fall from your rung. It's because it's going to be natural that you are going to fall from the rung that you're at. And he says that even when you fall from your rung, you need to strengthen yourself so that you can go even higher. And this is an idea we've shared about before, which is Yiridat Sorech Aliyah, the descent for the sake of the ascent. That it is going to be normal that your own consciousness, our own consciousness, is going to expand and contract. It's going to ebb and flow. Sometimes that's going to be about outward events that help us do that, great moments with family or with friends or with nature or with study, and we expand. And then there's going to also be things from the outside that is going to have us contract. Illness, hate, all kinds of difficult conversations, separations in relationship, all kinds of things will help our awareness contract and we'll feel a sense of darkness. And sometimes it's not even outward events that happen. Sometimes it's just part of our own natural rhythm. But he says that what is so important is at that moment when we have fallen from a rung, when we have descended, it is to in some strengthen ourselves so that we can be able to open even higher, meaning that the progression on the rung is not just about the wonderful things that happen to us or those revelations at Sinai, but that it's how we actually handle the contraction. How do we handle the darkness? How do we do that? And what he says here is, he says that the way to do that is to realize the statement, Melo kol haaretz kevodo, the whole world is filled with God's glory. And I'm just going to quote him right here. He says, the whole earth is filled with God's glory, even those places that are entirely earthy, just coarse matter, they too are filled with God's glory. God is called the life of life. All life in the world, including cattle, beasts, birds, and humans, all of their life force is the blessed Yud He Vav He. This is life of life, or life of the living. God is the life force of all that lives. When you fall from your run, consider this. Am I alive? Am I alive? Just ask that question. Am I alive? And who is this aliveness that I am? Who is it? Is it not the Blessed Holy One? Right? You're in a place of darkness. You don't you don't know how to get out, where to go, to just take a moment and step in and ask the question, am I alive? Turn your attention to your own life force and then ask, who is this aliveness that I am that goes through us? Who is it? Is it not the Holy Blessed One? Begin to sense the divine in your own presence, in your own aliveness. And that's what will allow you to stay present and open to an even greater run. So we're going to get to chant this. Some of you may be familiar with these words because they've been popularized in certain circles by Rabbi David Zeller of blessed memory, which he had a nigun, just a wordless melody that he sung for a long time. And then at some point he adapted these words of the Me'orei Naim to the melody. So we'll have a chance to sing that together, and then we'll go into some silent meditation. And please feel free to join me in your own space, singing. It's really that voice, that melody, the reverberation in you that also helps us enter the meditation. La 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 ya la 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 la. Ya la la. Ya la la la. Ya la la ya la 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 la. Ya la la. Ya la la ya la 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 la. Ya la la. Ya la la ya la 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 la. Ya la la. Ya la la la. Ya la 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 ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 ya la 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 la. Ya la la. Ya la la la. Ya la la ya la 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 la. Ya la la. Ya la la ya la 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 la. Ya la la. Ya la la ya la 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 la. Ya la la. Ya la la la. Ya la 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 la. I am alive. Ya la 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 la. I am alive. Ya la 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 la. I am alive. I'm alive. And who is this aliveness I am? And who is this aliveness I am? And who is this aliveness I am? Is it not the Holy Blessed One? Ya la 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 la. I am alive. Yai la 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 la. I am alive. Yai la 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 la. I am alive. I'm alive. And who is this aliveness I am? And who is this aliveness I am? And who is this aliveness I am? Is it not the Holy Blessed One? Is it not the Holy Blessed One? Is it not the Holy Blessed One? We'll find a comfortable position to rest in for a period of time, aware of the pressure between your bottom and the chair, your feet on the floor, the distance between the bottom of your spine and the top of your head, the space between your ears. Notice where the air enters your nostrils or your mouth. Feel the expansion of the chest or the belly on the inhale. And notice that moment where the inhale switches over to an exhale. And you notice the body gently contracting, belly and chest. Noticing again the place where the exhale switches to an inhale, and you notice the air entering the body and filling and expanding. And then that moment where the inhale switches to an exhale and the body contracts. Really begin to pay attention to that life force that automatically moves the breath in and out of the body. Some of us are aware that there is a linguistic connection in the Hebrew between the word nishima and nishama, between breath and soul. That somehow this ever sustaining life force of the breath, moving the oxygen in and out, this life sustaining motion is connected to our deepest essence. Open to the life force that is present in the breath. And allow your awareness to expand to include not only the movement of breath, but all the sensations in the body. Aware of all the blood that circulates through the body, the oxygen through the breath that infuses every cell, the bone and muscle tissue that's all vibrant and filled with energy, with life. Bones without life decay. Or the bones in our living presence and being. is filled with energy, life. It's really open to the full depth of the body, from the bottom of your feet to the top of your head, everything in between, the incredible life that is present, buzzing. And who is this aliveness I am? Is it not the Holy Blessed? So now my attention on all of the aliveness in my body is not only being present with what is, but it's the presence of God. It's the act of being in relationship, of recognizing the essence of our experience, of recognizing that everything we perceive, body, breath, aliveness, is part of a great pattern, energy unfolding way beyond what we call I, me, or mine. And as we begin to identify our own experience, our own aliveness, as being the Holy Blessed One, the boundaries we hold in our mind of I, me, and mine as separate from the creation begin to dissolve. We'll be quiet for a period of time. And just to hold this, to choose to be present with what is, to be present with the aliveness in our body and in our experience, to consistently choose to recognize that aliveness as being an expression of something way beyond us. That's what the Me'ori Naim taught. Na'aseh v'nishma, we will do and then we will hear. The doing is the active recognition of our own experience as being an expression of the One. It's a choice every moment. Thank you, everybody. Yes, Dennis.
I'm totally confused. So, unless I have my time frame wrong, didn't God already give the Ten Commandments to Moses a couple of times before this?
No, no, this is the first time. So just to get where we've come from, this last week's Torah portion was the parting of the Red Sea. You know, the people of Israel had left Egypt. They passed through the Red Sea. They went through. They were in the wilderness, and then it was really here in this week's parsha that they came to the mountain. They came from Rephidim, and they first started. They had a nice conversation with Moses's father-in-law, who was not an Israelite. His name was Yitro, not a Jewish guy, but he came and gave wise counsel to Moses, and then they arrive at the mountain, and that's where the Torah is received and the Ten Commandments and all of that.
Okay.
Yes, Sandy.
Thank you so much for this experience of this meditation. It was wonderful, and I believe that that question, "Who is this aliveness that I am?" Looking at the word "who" in English, it is a question and a worthwhile question to contemplate, but looking at the word and looking at the word "who" in a different way, as "who" meaning God, which I believe it does in several different traditions. God is this aliveness that I am. It gives this sense of such a connection, just like in that Aleph that you mentioned as the smallest way to look at what was given over on Sinai. It reminds me, sometimes I've been in yoga classes where we imitate Hebrew letters. And when you get in that position of being the Aleph, you really are connecting heaven and earth in that sense. So putting all that together it was very meaningful this morning. So appreciate that.
I'm so glad. Yeah, this statement of mihu chayu sheli, who is this aliveness? Me, in Hebrew it's me. But as soon as you use the question, this is what I appreciate that you're drawing our attention to, Sandy, is as soon as you have the question who, then my experience goes from being impersonal to personal, right? Like, And I want to say that is, it doesn't have to be, but a lot of the times I would say that this is a primary difference in approach and orientation from Jewish and Buddhist meditation, right? In Buddhist meditation, it's more impersonal, in that we pay attention to our moment-to-moment experience, and there's not necessarily a who behind that. It just is, right? It just is, and we pay attention to it. And yet, what I think, again, quoting my teacher, Rabbi David Zeller, I think he kind of coined, instead of having mindfulness meditation, this is Godfulness meditation, which is not to say that God is not experienced in mindfulness. It's just where we're putting our attention and how the lens that we're approaching our experience. So as soon as we say who, we become open to relationship, that our experience is not just a random impersonal one, but that there is presence. We open ourselves to the presence that is in our experience. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, Maury.
When you say those words, who is this aliveness that I am? And I remember as a teenager, I don't know what it is, but it's trying to find your identity. I would be lying in bed and in the dark, and I would say, who am I? I kept doing this who thing over and over again. Who am I? And there has to be a me. There's an answer. I would really sort of drive myself crazy with this. But now I have, it's such, anyway, it's just such a lovely way of being, I guess, when I hear you say that. But it did bring back that memory of, as a kid trying to be like, who am I? Who?
Right, exactly. Because when you're a teenager, and you're engaging that question,
Yeah,
you're looking for an answer.
right.
You're looking for an answer. And here, it's not an answer that is looking for. It's it's being able to rest into the question and letting the question itself open up awareness. The question opens up awareness. It's kind of like, for some of you who remember different years on our meditation retreat, we've done a Shabbat afternoon exercise where we've gotten in pairs, and one person for just 10 minutes straight, yes, Susie's nodding here, just ask the question, who are you? And then the other person answers, I'm so-and-so. And the person A says, thank you. Who are you? I'm blah, blah, blah. Thank you. Who are you? For 10 minutes, all the way through. And as soon as all of the standard answers, the roles that we all are, all the things that we hold to our identity begin to be exhausted. And then suddenly, okay, if I am all those things and I'm not just all those things, then it starts to open to who are you? Not for an answer, but for an opening.
Well, that's why I love it when you bring this up with us.
Yes.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Any other comments, questions before we close for the day or the morning? All right. Well, beautiful, beautiful to see everybody, and I hope everybody has a wonderful day. That everybody stays safe for the upcoming storm that we've got for the next few days. A lot of rain, which will be beautiful and we'll need, but definitely hope that we'll be more conscious about possibly altering our schedules just to stay safe. So thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you, Rabbi.